All right, the big story on India since the West Asia crisis, the tensions in the Middle East have now escalated sharply. A broader conflict is very much likely. India shares good relations with all players. With Israel, it has deep defense and security collaboration. It has also, in fact, with Iran, it is India's largest oil supplier till the United States sanctioned Tehran. But the question to ask is, where does India stand in this conflict? So far, New Delhi has been very clear. It stands against terror, with peace, and in favor of a long-term resolution. Before we talk about how the geopolitical dynamics of the region is set to play out, take a look at this report that tells you the direct and immediate impact, both economic and social, on India of what's happening in the Middle East right now.
موجه للأمة الإسلامية جمعاء.
New Delhi has been in a wait-and-watch mode since the 7th of October attack by Hamas on Israel last year. And with the situation quickly spiraling into a major conflict, policymakers in India need to brace for a significant impact from these tensions. For one, there are nearly 90 lakh Indians in the entire Middle East. A broader war could put most of them at risk, requiring the government to ensure safety and possibly swift evacuation. This would also hit the $87 billion of annual remittances that India receives from the Middle East region. A conflict in this region will also risk India's energy supplies, besides making it costlier. A higher crude will affect India's finances, affecting both current account deficit and trade deficit. Oil crossing $100 a barrel is no more a distant possibility. At risk is also the Chabahar port, one of India's most recent strategic investments to build linkages with the Central Asian markets and to counter rising Chinese presence in the region. All right, India has a large exposure to this region. Is it in a position to mediate, and is a full-scale war now imminent? That's the question. For one, mediation requires leverage. India is a growing power, but it still has very limited leverage on all parties to ensure any breakthroughs that are needed. Secondly, unlike the attack on Gaza, where a response came from the entire Muslim world, Israel's attacks on Iran have not led to any widespread condemnation because of the fault lines that exist in the Muslim world, whether it's Shia, Sunni, Arab, Persian, pro-West, anti-West. And not everyone is then throwing their lot behind Tehran, which means Iran knows that the escalation will have only limited appeal. And this also explains Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei's rallying call for all Muslims around the world today after the Friday prayers. Now, at stake is the leadership of the entire Muslim community. Thirdly, there are internal political factors that are also at play. The Iranian dispensation, mind you, is very unpopular. The anger that started with the hijab protest still simmers, and escalation could just add to that political uncertainty for its leadership. And lastly, Iran's military arsenal, though significant, is not unlimited. Figures aren't available, but at some point of time, its ballistic missiles will get exhausted. It fired 180 ballistic missiles. How many more can it fire? 200, 300, 500 at best. This is why this is a situation where the interplay of political, military, and geopolitical realities makes it complex, dynamic, and that much harder